Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, I have a very special guest with us. I have Ben Feferman. That's how I pronounce it, correct?
You got it.
Perfect. Hi there, Ben. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. And yourself?
Oh, it's a wonderful day. A beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about yourself?
It's a pretty cold day in Toronto, but, otherwise it's good. Yeah.
All right, Ben. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I run a company called Amuka Esports. And what we're doing is we're looking to build really complete esports ecosystems in cities around North America. So we're based in Toronto. We're building out our first esports hub here. And then we hope to expand to cities all around.
Okay, so I know there's a lot to unpack there because when we were on the phone before, you kind of explained what that was, and I really want to get into it. Before I do that, I always start every interview with a single question. I'm going to ask you the same, just like everybody else. And it's kind of a fun question just to get us started, all right? Get some smiles going here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Ben?
I'm like 8, yeah.
Why is that?
It depends who you ask. If you ask my wife and kids, yeah, I'm pretty weird. I like weird music, and I don't know, I'm an eclectic guy, and I have a weird sense of humor.
Well, it sounds like you're a typical gamer, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's before I really get into the business side, this is the Gamerpreneur. I got to get your gaming cred. So can you tell me, when did you first start playing video games?
Yeah, it was 1988. So my next door neighbor got a Nintendo. He was a lot older than me, and so I started playing when I was about 5 years old on NES. Played aggressively on SNES and Genesis, mainly sports games. Pretty great at NHL 94, 95. Took a hiatus for a while, and then later in life got back into it. Now I play some CSGO, Rocket League, Forza. Actually, I'm really into Forza Horizon right now, and different things.
Okay, so it sounds like you're a born and bred competitive gamer then.
Always like to compete, and it's too bad online multiplayer sports games weren't around in the mid 90s, because my life trajectory could have been different, but I'm still very active in the retro competitive scene.
Hey, we had NBA Jam back then. He's heating up.
We do NBA Jam here, and we're organizing a lot of NHL 94 tournaments. So I'm training for that, and I'm hoping to have a big finish at our next big tournament.
Fantastic. Okay, so what's coming out soon that you're looking forward to? Where are you hoping to play soon?
Game wise?
Yeah.
Definitely Project A. I mean, I think that's going to be the most exciting game of this year if it comes out or whenever it does. Doom Eternal looks like pretty freaking creepy and will give me a lot of nightmares. So I'm kind of curious to check that out. And the name is on the top of my tongue. It's Ubisoft's roller skating game. Roller skate battle game.
You got me on that soon. One.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll put it in the notes. We'll find the title later. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Okay, fantastic. One last gaming question, then I really want to get into the business side of this. So you've been playing, you're a little older than I am. You've been playing a long time. What's your favorite game of all time? If you were on a desert island with one game, what would it be?
Yeah, it's probably NHL 94. Yeah, I go sports all the way. It never gets old. It's always exciting. I love trying new moves. I don't need a game with a ton of story. I just need good competition.
Was that the one where you could just go around punching out the other players and then that was it? That's what I remember.
It was the first game where the NHL Players Association and the league came together on the title. So it was a big deal, and there was a controversy with blood, and Nintendo didn't want to have any blood in the game, and Sega was all for it. So you see a couple years these games where if you play the Sega version, you hit someone really hard and they're lying like this with blood splattered out of their head. But Nintendo, didn't warm up to that.
All right. So let's get into the business side. What's your professional background? How did you end up where you are today?
I spent most of my career as an entrepreneur. I was a film producer, ran a film production company. I then went into finance, opened up my own investment bank, and raised capital for real estate projects, for tech deals, clean tech, and we did a couple esports deals. And that was kind of the genesis of moving into esports.
Very cool. And what got you there in the first place? Like, what was your schooling in? Like, you didn't just hop out the womb and go into finance.
I'm kind of self-taught. I started trading, my bar mitzvah money, when online brokerages started in the whatever. I don't even know when they started. But since I was in my teens, I was trading. I always loved the markets, followed them, very religiously. Made some great trades, made some terrible trades, and learned a lot in between. So through managing my own portfolio, eventually my parents wanted me to manage their portfolios. That's really how I learned, and then gone into private capital and investment banking, things like that.
Fantastic. Okay. So your esports complex, so when we were on the phone, you told me it's you taking every vertical and you're putting it into one. So can you kind of describe that for us, please?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you're only in one vertical, firstly, let's just even back up for a second. In general, no one knows how to make any money in esports. Let's just put that out on the table.
Everybody's losing money, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. No one has figured it out yet. Nobody knows. So let's let that be known as the landscape. So within that landscape, it is very, very difficult. I would even say it's a terrible business idea to be focusing on one vertical. If you're just a team, if you're just a TO, if you're just a venue, it's hard. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but just it's such a grind being in one vertical. And it made me realize that the only way to make money, and I'm not perfect and definitely getting there in this industry, is you need the synergies from all the verticals, not just owning them, but they all have to be connected and working together. So what we've done in Toronto is take a physical game venue. So we actually own the largest esports venue in Canada.
Okay.
And then we have a tournament. We have multiple tournament teams that some of them we own, some we partner with to run tournaments 5-6 nights a week. We have a full content team and media team to start producing content and white label content for as agency work. We have an incubator, merchandise, and then when you put it all together, we've got a real full ecosystem where we can, monetize gamers, amateur or semi-pro gamers.
Okay. Now, how are you pulling that all together? Obviously, you can't be. You're not a one-man band. So how did you even decide to go out and find these people to do this for you?
Yeah, it started with 3 people, my business partner and my brother. So we came from our investment bank. We kind of put it on hold and put all the chips in. So that was the 3 of us. We acquired 3 companies along the way, and we kept those management teams. So really through acquisition, we've built a team of, 14 or 15 right now.
Very nice. Didn't even build it. You just bought it.
We do try to build our incubator. We created ourselves. We just put out a press release about our new tournament series, Mount Phenom, which is our own project. So when possible, we want to start projects, but to the extent we can't, we're looking to acquire great companies.
Okay. So what's the goal then? You're starting up in Toronto. Are you planning expanding, or are you going to focus there for a little while and then slowly grow?
Yeah, we do. We have still a lot of work to do in Toronto. We want to add a couple satellite locations. We actually want to add 5 campus bars, game pads, where you can play, compete, eat, drink near universities in Southwestern Ontario. And then only when we feel that we are comfortable, that we've, validated the model in Toronto, that we're profitable or get at least on the path to profitability, then we want to move to the States. Right now we're looking at Dallas and Scottsdale as probably the two potential next markets.
Okay, fantastic. So what makes you special? How did you get into this? Let me put it this way. What unique skills do you have that have put you into this position and able to grow and scale this business?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know how I ended up here. Sometimes I just, I'll be walking around and looking at all these PCs and just thinking like, what the hell happened? How did I go from film production to real estate to now esports? I think the most, let's go through a couple skills that you need to have. It's going to sound kind of cliche, but you got to have faith. Like, This is a hard business. This is a tough industry. It's a new industry. It's a grind. And you're going to face extinction at many different turns. And you have to keep going, and you just can't give up. And you're going to be pushed in this industry more than anything. So I think that's probably maybe the resilience is what sort of kept us going for, we haven't even been a year, but we faced a lot of challenges we had to overcome. And you get there. And I think as long as you really believe you're going to make it to the finish line and you have clarity on what the finish line is for you, then I think you're going to hit it.
Fantastic. So you said this is a tough industry, and I've heard that from basically every person kind of in your position, business owners who are in it, teams who are in it. Why is it so tough? What's wrong with this industry that makes it so difficult to make money?
So I think you have an industry where the game publishers run the scene. So if you want to look at franchise leagues as an example, so if you're a franchise owner in the NFL, okay, so you have an asset in a closed league, usually with a group of 30 other billionaires, and you are guaranteed to own football for many years to come. And there really hasn't even been any new sports created in the past 30 years, really with the exception of UFC. Aside for UFC, there's really been no new sports. So when you own an NFL franchise, you got football. And as long as football keeps growing, you're good to go. In esports, if you have an Overwatch franchise, you have the same person who just sold you a $25 million franchise is also creating new IP, new games, to disrupt your very business by creating new leagues. And you have 5 or 6 other sports and game publishers that are doing the same. So there's just an overload of content. There's an overload of games, of tournaments and options, and just the pie isn't growing fast enough for everyone to participate in.
So I think that's been my biggest issue. Whenever anybody asks me where I see the industry going in the future, like, I see it being so siloed because of exactly that point you just made. Is there any solution to that? Because otherwise, new sports are coming out every single year, new games, new teams. Every game is its own silo. Each platform is its own silo. How do we fix that?
Personally, I think if you're a pure play esports company, it's higher risk. So we're in the venue business at the end of the day. That, like, the vast majority of our revenue is from venues. But we can still monetize traditional sports. We can still have the NBA All-Star Game on and have a packed house. We can still show March Madness and the Super Bowl and have people come out and eat and drink. So we have a relatively proven model, even if you remove the esports element to it. So I think that's one area. And I think you just need businesses or verticals that are agnostic to game titles or even agnostic to the industry. Companies that are focusing on, mental health and esports is something you can port to other industries if the esports boom doesn't work out. So that's my thinking is don't just be pure play esports. The esports industry is a $1.2 billion industry, which is a extremely small slice of the $150 billion video game industry. So that's one. And the other, sorry for making this a long-winded answer, but
perfect.
$70 billion mobile gaming industry that people are overlooking. So when we look at even teams and things like that, we're really going to start to position more of our energy and assets and capital towards mobile.
That's a fantastic answer. Definitely not long-winded and needs to be said. So let me kind of move on though, because I don't want to beat that horse to death. What resources do you use as a business owner? Because I really want to kind of focus more on business, sales, marketing advice you might be able to give my guests, my audience.
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out here. So about a year ago, when I really made that decision to, go all in on esports, I needed a esports education or re-education. And the Score was a great resource for me. The Score Esports, it's a Toronto-based company. And I literally watched 50 to 100 hours of esports content and documentary series about everything. And every day, at the end of the day, I go home. Before I go to bed, I'm watching Esports Talk with Jake Lucky, who I love. And I watch the newest videos on the Score. And I'll check into Thorin, I'll check into Richard Lewis, I'll check into a couple other people. But there's great resources for for esports content out there. And I think not enough people, and even on my team, sometimes I'll bring up things with my guys. I don't mean to insult them; they're all great at what they do, but they won't really be necessarily up to date with the Flashpoint, ESL, Broigus that's happening, and what that means if Flashpoint isn't successful. What does that mean for CS:GO, or what does that mean for esports? So I try to be really on top of everything. I do speak a lot at events, so it's also important for me to be up to date with all the news. And I think that's one area that esports professionals or people in the industry need to focus on.
Okay. So that's on the esports side. How more on just the general business side? What kind of resources are you using in order to grow and scale your business?
I'm really bad. Like, I don't read any business books, and that's like really bad. And, I've been called out on that before. I just don't have time. That's not an excuse. I should. But in terms of just, running an esports business, I think it's putting in the team and putting in the right processes. It's about the vision of figuring out where to go. You have to navigate, you have to pivot. You got to utilize the best technologies. So, how do we communicate as a team? What do we use Discord for? What do we use WhatsApp for? Yeah.
Perfect.
That's about it.
Okay. I just had one. How are you getting clients? What methods are you using to get clients? Are you cold calling, or is it Discord? Where's people coming from?
So for me, sort of like my general touch point, for customers is really more investors. As the CEO of a company that's, a startup and raising, unfortunately, that tends to eat up most of my time. So, look, I'm not a hard sales guy. I don't like to do that. I just want to tell our story. And if I tell our story to enough people and in the right way, we're going to get the funding. And that's what's happened so far. So, one of the things is developed a weekly or a couple times a week series called Esports Unfiltered, where I take issues that are important to me that I think need to be discussed. And in no way am I politically correct. I deliver what I think about an issue. And that's been very successful on LinkedIn. So I try to use the tools, engagement tools, to engage potential stakeholders. And that's really how I sort of find, let's say, my customers, which are a lot of the time investors. And I meet a lot of companies because we're in the business of acquiring companies. So I'll jump on calls with any esports company, just to hear them out, see what they're doing, if I like what they're doing, if I can provide any value, if there's any way we can work together.
Okay, wonderful. So I deal with investors all the time myself, but I don't think a lot of my audience does. How difficult is it to engage with an investor and kind of start a communication with them?
Yeah, I think the challenge for, esports companies that are raising is, it's hard to raise for a startup in general, because you're early stage, you're higher risk, et cetera. But there's this block, this investor objection that I hear all the time, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, is people will say the following: I just don't understand how people watch other people play video games.
Yep.
And to me, it's so bizarre because I look at all the on television. Sorry, am I not allowed to swear on your podcast?
But I can believe you.
Okay. Like, there is so much trash out there that I can't believe that people are saying that about esports, when the amount of Kardashian reality TV shows, and you're thinking that watching video games is weird. But anyway, I understand. It took me a while to understand that. Why do they have that block? Why is that so weird for people? And I had to put myself in their shoes. And so I'll ask you, do you know what the most played traditional sport is in the world?
That'd be soccer or football.
Yeah. And do you know what the second most played sport in the world is?
That's the UK version of baseball. What is that? That's
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, cricket. So exactly. So cricket is a sport that's played by, I think it's like almost 2 billion people. Okay. And that makes sense. India, Pakistan, South Africa. And I was thinking, if someone pitched me a deal, they said, Ben, I got this great deal on cricket, and they're telling me all about cricket and the size of the industry and the tournaments and the players and the teams, I probably would tell them, I just don't understand how people watch people play cricket. And what's the reason? At the end of the day, why is that hard for me to understand? Because I don't know the rules. And I think that us as educators or people in the industry, we need to show people the rules of the game. Because when you understand the rules of Rocket League or Overwatch or anything, it makes sense. You understand the strategy and the economy and all the intricacies of the game. But if investors don't understand the basic rules, they're always going to have that block of, I just don't understand how people can watch people play video games.
See, that boggles my mind, because the same can be said about NHL, just hockey. Like, I can't understand why people watch other people play hockey when you just do it yourself. So, I mean, it's the same argument.
Yeah, and I think that what traditional sports did well was they educated the public on, when the NHL went to Nashville and Colorado and Arizona, people who have never seen ice in their life, and along with the broadcasters, they educated people. Like, they had the Fox piloted the blue around the puck and the red when it's shot, and if you watch like the Fox broadcasts in some of these markets, like they explain, offside, here's a box. Offside is when the player goes in the zone before the puck. So I think the key for esports is there a big esport that you don't watch, as an example, or you don't know anything about?
Oh, geez. There's so many of them, honestly, because there's
pick one. Let's just say.
I don't really watch League of Legends, honestly.
Okay.
I know how it's played.
Perfect.
I understand how it's played. Go ahead.
Yeah. So me neither. I don't understand League. So when I'm watching League, I can't get a cool user experience because the broadcast just isn't geared to me. Like, yes, the shoutcasters, it's exciting, and like I understand kill, double kill, like you can kind of follow
the characters and what each of them are doing. Like, I have no idea what these characters are. Yeah.
Exactly. The broadcasters and the production needs to be geared towards non-gamers to grow the fan base.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about you. You've been doing this for a couple of years now. When you made the switch, about a year, 2 years, you said.
Probably we started raising for esports companies, over a year ago, and I think really by June of last year, we really said 100% we're all in.
Okay, so it's been almost a year then. And if you could go back about a year and you could give yourself some advice on how to like make this go a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, better, what would you say? Because a year's a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've made so many mistakes that I don't even want to talk about. Yeah, it's just you live, you learn. There's companies that I wish I went in that I didn't, and companies that I did go in that I shouldn't have. And I have learned so much about myself and the company and the business and the industry. I had to make a couple mistakes along the way, but I just think we've got a much more solid game plan because of it.
Okay. So say there's somebody out there who would like to do what you're doing right now. What are the top 3 things you would tell them? Like, what the 3 things, a piece of advice would you give?
You got to do it because you love it. That's number one, is you have to have the passion. If you think, esports is hot and I'm just going to get in it because I'm going to make a lot of money, you're going to get a reckoning. So number 1 is passion. Number 2 is you got to understand that your success is going to be your ability to raise capital. So if you're someone that is not fit for that type of task, then better not to start your own company. Maybe work in the industry first, gain some experience, and then look to start your own company. And then lastly, I'd say you need differentiation. Whatever vertical, there's a gazillion online tournament organizers, a gazillion. So like, if you want to be in that space, what's making you different? There's a gazillion teams out there. So like, why are you going to be like the 500th team that started, in the past 10 years? So do something different. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but have something that differentiates you, from your competitors and the rest of the market.
Fantastic. Where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years?
all mobile. It's very controversial. People hate that I say I don't think there's going to be PC games. I just don't. It's not going to be the scene anymore, and it's like blasphemous for me to say that.
Phone mobile or like tablet mobile or like.
There's only going to be one platform. There's just going to be mobile. Now you can set up your mobile to your screen, to your monitor, but at the end of the day, the mobile growth is just so huge. It's so ubiquitous that it's just going to take over. And I think the case for buying a $4,000 PC to game is just going to be a thing of the past. I think that there's going to be newer categories. So right now, like it's pretty much Battle Royale, FPS, MOBA, real-time strategy games. But VR is going to make its way into esports and more physical esports. Like there'll be more Zwifts and more things that challenge the existing status quo. There won't be consoles either. That's done. And I think PlayStation has kind of already alluded to it. Like, this is it. Xbox One X, Xbox X, and PS5.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is going to be streamed. So it's the end of the console.
Interesting. Okay.
Should I make other bold and crazy predictions?
I'll come back in 5 years and see how that goes.
Yeah. I don't see, I think PC, it's just going to be mobile. Everything's going to be mobile.
All right. Let's talk about you personally. What's something that you try to improve on in your life today?
Work-life balance. I'm married. I have 4 kids that are 4 and under. Yeah. So that's a lot. Yeah, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be a good father and a good husband. So it's having that balance, and taking care of myself physically. I started on a running journey about 5 years ago, and I'm on a bit of a hiatus, but I went from could barely go up the stairs, extremely out of shape. Actually, it started, my friends asked me to fill in for some ball hockey. Mm-hmm. And after 2 shifts, I threw up and on the ground. And it was just a wake-up call. And I started running. And 2 years ago, I ran a marathon. I was so happy that I've come that far. And I've receded a little bit. But yeah, it's really important for me to spend the time, invest in health and fitness.
Is that something you think entrepreneurs generally kind of ignore?
I think co-founders, I think, are better at it. I think they're more risk takers, and I think they're just less complacent. So just in general, I feel entrepreneurs and co-founders in particular have more hustle, more hunger. And when you're hungry for business, you're hungry for everything else. That includes your health and wellness.
Wonderful. All right, Ben, this has been a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for your time. How do people find you? Where are you out on social media?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I'd love to plug our Esports Unfiltered show. So it's on YouTube. Our channel is Amuka Esports. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. I'm posting all the time about what's going on, and would love to. And LinkedIn. LinkedIn really is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm very active on the platform. So that's it.
Beautiful.
That's the best way.
All right. So as we're coming in for a landing, is there anything else you want to talk about or anything I didn't ask you think we should have mentioned?
No, I think I guess some parting words for esports entrepreneurs is, especially people who are not in the industry already, is get out there, go to events, compete, play, meet people. Sending a resume is not the way you start in the industry. It's getting out in weeklies and being part of the community and volunteering and all that stuff. Put in the grunt work. And this is a very small and interconnected industry. And if you do right by people, you do well, and you have that hustle, I guarantee you're going to get rewarded.
Fantastic. All right. Ben Feferman, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right. Gamerpreneurs, go back and watch this one. He gives a lot of wonderful advice here. All right, everybody, you all take it easy. Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, Gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right, you all take it easy.